Pops looks like a ledge in the Hawaiian shirt and the hat.
There's a ledge.
Your wife's a babe, dude.
Sure she is. Don't I know it?
You.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are great.
What do you?
Welcome, everyone. On this beautiful day here at San Onofre Beach, we have come together to celebrate Mel and Matt. Thank you all for joining us and for being a part of their love story. Before we begin, Matt and Mel would like especially to thank their respective parents, Bill and Karen, and Bob and Harumi, for blessing this union and for always being an example of unconditional, pure love. We all know that these two are not the type of people who experience life vicariously from the safety of their living room sofa. Their radius of influence in our world is vast, and their ever-expanding list of friends and loved ones extends to the far reaches of our globe. Many of those loved ones are not able to be here today. However, each of us is a product of the influence our friends have had upon us. And in that regard, the presence of those not here today is manifest in the two people standing before us now. It is not insignificant that they have chosen this place to deliver their sacred vows. From Seal Beach to Alaska to Cuba to Central America to the island of Kauai where Matt proposed to Mel, their delightfully transient lifestyle has always gravitated towards the beaches of the world. In fact, as I learned this morning, their first date took place on the beach at Doheny, just a few miles from here up the coast. Over the past 9 years, I have spent many days along this stretch of coastline in the company of these two. Countless are the late nights we have spent unraveling and re-raveling the mysteries of the cosmos around the warm glow of a California beach campfire. I am fortunate to have witnessed this relationship blossom from its inception to its fruition here on this very shoreline. Surely there is no shortage of metaphors about marriage to be found in the ebbing and flowing of these tides and in the vastness of this ocean. But today we don't require the services of any nautical cliches. It is with unwavering confidence I declare that with this ceremony, we are witnessing the formal declaration of a union that simply ought to be. My conviction is not conceived solely from nearly a decade of observation, confirming that they do of course seem right for each other. I am also greatly encouraged by the fact that their first names together form an alliteration. To me, that is an unmistakably positive omen. Matt and Mel, Mel and Matt. It just feels right. In fact, if there be any among you now who harbor an objection to this union, speak never and forever hold your breath. Okay, we have now arrived at the fun part of the ceremony. Today we will be performing a slightly more laid-back, kind of beach vibe version of a traditional Japanese wedding ceremony called Sansan Kudo. This ceremony dates back to the 1600s in Japan. Translated to English, Sansan Kudo means 339 times. 3 is considered a lucky number in Japan, and 9, being composed of the number 3 3 times, is an especially lucky number indicating triple happiness. For this ritual, Matt and Mel will each be taking 3 sips of sake from 3 different size cups. Thus, 9 sips in total. Small sips. These cups are called sakazuki, and they are intended only for sake. There are several slightly different interpretations of the symbolism behind the 3 different size sakazuki. For this ceremony, I have extracted and curated the symbolism for each sakazuki in a way that I feel best represents Mel and Matt. Oh, stay down. Okay. The smallest sakazuki that sits on the top is closest to the heavens. For us, this first cup will symbolize the ancestry of the bride and groom. This is the cup that will honor the lives of ancestors who are no longer with us in this terrestrial world, but without whom Mel and Matt quite literally would not be standing here today. Hopefully it doesn't get blown away. Oh, 3. Your face is priceless. And Mel. That'll help. All right, let's learn about the middle one. The middle sakazuki is often used to symbolize earth. This is the cup that today will represent the remaining earth that is left for Mel and Matt to explore together. By sipping from this cup, they are expressing a vow to always support and protect one another wherever their journey may lead them through life from here forward.
Thank you, sir.
I can use my sleeve if you need a tissue.
The big one.
All right. The largest sakazuki that forms the foundation of this stack is traditionally associated with mankind. For us, more specifically, this cup will symbolize the joining and expansion of these families. The 3 sips from this cup will represent the 3 components of this family: Mel's side, Matt's side, and the new branch formed by this union. Family members are the notes that comprise the melodies in our life song. By joining these 3 families with this union, your love song has gained new depth and more intricate harmonies.
And the Doge.
Thank you. And now, if you would please join hands and face one another.
Oh, maybe I should.
Sure.
Melissa Chio Meisner, do you take Matt to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold until you are haggard and old, till a resignation from this transitory life divides you?
I do. Yes.
Matthew Dean Embry, do you take Mel to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold until you are haggard and old, till a resignation from this transitory life divides you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Violet, you have a very important component. You can give that to them. And each take yours.
Oh, we each take the opposite.
And Mel, if you will go first, present Matt with your ring along with your personal vows.
Okay. Do I do the ring first or the vow first?
Do the vows.
Okay. So I need my vow. Okay.
You do great.
Matthew, it's a long one, so bear with me. I have a lot to say here. When we first really met, 10 years ago in 2011, I was infatuated with you. I mean, how could I not be? You were a handsome musician with strong morals and a particular gentleness about you that I always found so attractive. I was swooned. During the early months getting to know one another, I'll always fondly remember listening to records in your house off 11th Street, sipping on Jameson, while you taught me what real R&B was all about. I would teach you about different cooking techniques and foods, although you still recall the first thing I'd ever cooked for you to be something significant. A quesadilla. I'd learn that your first crush was your Japanese babysitter, followed by a little Japanese girl in your elementary school. Your first girlfriend was a half Japanese, half German soccer player. When you first learned that I too am half Japanese, half German, played soccer growing up, your immediate response was, "That doesn't surprise me at all." I laughed that you clearly had a type. Eventually, we'd go off on our first of many travel adventures together, a 6-week backpacking trip throughout Central America. You brought your old acoustic guitar that we'd affectionately name Baby Changi. You'd play your way through bars and pubs from Mexico to Costa Rica as I stood by and watched, falling further in love with you. As the years went by, we went from living with Jess, yes, you basically lived with us, to living together in our own apartment. Eventually, the infatuation wore off and reality hit.
Uh-oh.
We'd argue like we'd never argued before. You would constantly remind me, "Mel, we are on the same team." You used to tell me that you felt like you were on a boat, reaching your hand out to help me off the dock. And I refused to reach for your hand as you floated away. I was emotionally guarded, and you were at a loss for what to do. But you didn't give up. You saw the potential we had, and you stayed by my side. Over the years, you have painstakingly taught me about the power of vulnerability, arguing to resolve and not to win, the importance of loyalty, trust. You taught me how beautiful life can be when we work as a team. I can say with certainty that you've helped transform me into a better person. Not just a better partner for you, but a better person who's more introspective and open to receive all the beautiful things that this life has to offer. You challenge me to not settle, to push myself beyond my comfort zone. You cheer me on when I succeed. May I have a tissue, please? Thank you. Over the years, we have grown together in ways I never thought possible. Our relationship has only improved with time. I am frequently reminded of this analogy of two sapling trees growing side by side. Over time, the saplings grow closer, eventually merging together into one beautiful tree. Their roots intertwined underneath the earth's surface. As time passes, their bond only strengthens. The nutrients that provide life and sustenance for one are the same that nourish the other. They become one. At times I sit in awe at how lucky I am to have scored you. You truly are the perfect mix. Charismatic, yet gentle. Daring, yet observant. Intellectual, yet silly. Handsome, yet humble. You have an old dirty van that I think has only been washed once. Yet, you routinely make our bed every morning and organize your clothes Marie Kondo style. A truly complex being you are, Matthew. Not to mention, you are the gnarliest guitar shredder that I have ever met. I remember having a moment after we got engaged at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, watching your guitar solo as you channeled your inner Jimi Hendrix. In a sea of cheering fans, shoulder to shoulder with your family, now my family, seeing you on the Jumbotron and thinking, that's the man I'm going to marry? I genuinely love your music. And the fact that our dinner playlists frequently include new tracks that you just recorded at the studio is just the coolest thing. You also make me laugh with your silly jingles and dance moves. You make the best breakfast, a mean yakisoba. And you play with my hair every night because you know how much I love it. I am so bonused with getting to be your wife. That fact does not escape me one bit. Now, when I think back to that imagery of the boat, with you reaching your hand out toward me, I know damn well, without a doubt in my mind, that I will take a running jump into your arms as we float away into the sunset of our lives together. I love you so much, Matthew Dean, and I am wholeheartedly yours.
Wow. Don't forget the ring.
Okay. Let me just put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. All right.
Got it?
Here we go. Okay. Woo, that was beautiful. That was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put that down because I don't want to drop it in the sand. All right. So this will be interesting because, can everybody hear me?
You gotta speak louder.
All right, I'm gonna try. Just so you know, we did not confer before writing our version of vows. Not at all. Which is why that struck me even harder, but it's awesome. Anyway. Dear Melissa, the first time I knew I felt a certain kind of way about you was the first time you made me a quesadilla. apartment on First Street.
Speak loud, babe.
It was at your apartment on First Street. After some night or other, and you were making food for everyone. And you handed me my plate. And although it was mere tortilla and cheese, there was something about the arrangement of the garnish and the condiments that spoke to me. It made me start to think, does she like me? Is there something there? It was beautiful. Each quesadilla nug carefully quartered and arranged in a manner not unlike a Japanese fan. One gently placed, barely overlapping the next. Perfectly and symmetrically framed, contrastingly by the outline of the plate beneath it. And oh, I mentioned the condiments. Ripe cherry tomatoes,
You remember?
diced in painstakingly accurate uniformity, which I later came to find is very important to you and in culinary practices in general. Nestled between equally uniform but slightly smaller squares of onion, serrano pepper, and cilantro. Perfect. It was beautiful. This was a pico de gallo on a level of excellence rarely reached by the finest restaurants. That conglomerate of I almost said flowers. That conglomerate of flavors before me was not just food. It was not just empty sustenance to be gobbled at once, destined to become a gastronomical sponge for the beer that was in my belly that night. No. It was meant to be revered and admired, to be savored ponderously, and ponder it I did, as you can see. For it was art. And surely this piece before me was a sign, a subtle nod to a burgeoning affection. Years later, and at that time little did I know, your culinary skill was already of such proficiency that this was probably something you made in 5 minutes. And it was ultimately meaningless in terms of a sign, my so-called sign. But the thing is, whether or not it was or it wasn't, and I choose to believe that it was, I might as well ask you now, was it?
Yeah.
That's a no. Anyway, whether or not long after we began our life adventure together, and here we are 9 years deep, and on that journey, I got to learn that we are similar in many ways and different in many others. And it's been such a unique pleasure for me and such an honor to be able to have you get to know and love me, and to be able to get to know and love you. I learned that your favorite number is 7, not because of John Elway, but because it's just lucky. I learned that you hate football and have a strange assumption that everyone who watches it also must simultaneously eat Cheetos. I learned almost immediately that you're a morning person with an almost mutant-like ability to just be awake as soon as you get up. I'll never forget the time early in our relationship where I groggily told you to go run around the block because you were squirming around so much and I wanted to go back to sleep. I learned that you're a super smeller, like many people in your family, and that allows you to smell things that most other human beings are not capable of. And I learned that you like stinky smells. And you also love Brad Leone ice cream, and your favorite movie franchise is Fast and the Furious.
No, it's not. Why do you keep saying that?
Most of all, you love all things culinary. I learned that cooking for others and eating together is your family's language of love, and that it's something passed down for many generations. You could say thousands of generations, just like your name. I learned how much you love cuddling, and that although I thought I was a pretty cuddly dude, my threshold was clearly lower. Nothing that a few forced cuddles couldn't fix. I learned that you love deals, especially if they're free, and especially if they're on the beach. And you love having your head rubbed and your hair played with, especially if it's by your niece Violet.
Oh.
I learned that your favorite color is green because it's the color of life, and that you love nature and the Japanese art of forest bathing, and that your favorite place on earth is the redwood forest. All these things I learned about you eventually became things that I love about you. And I love everyone. I love how you don't make Insta friends. Not that you're ever standoffish, rather that you just take the time to cultivate real reciprocal relationships with people that matter to you. I love your moral compass. I love that you're truthful to a fault, and that I've never seen you do anything out of spite or to purposely hurt someone. That's a rare and beautiful trait, and it's applicable and common amongst your family. I love your family. You're the worst liar I've ever met. And I mean that as the highest compliment. I love how much you love your family, how fiercely protective of them you are, the palatable joy in your voice when you're getting ready to fly or to drive to go see them. I love how you go out of your way to celebrate birthdays, and how you give the most thoughtful gifts I've ever seen, and how important it is to you to know what someone really wants and how attentive you are to that. I love how much compassion and empathy you show your patients. You're such a good friend. You always show up for people. You're always impeccable with your word and supportive, and it shows by the amount of strong bonds you have with people you've known since you were a kid, and the fact that so many of them come to you first when they need support. They know you'll always be them. They know you'll always be there for them, because you will. I see that. I know that. I love and appreciate how supportive of me and my career that you are. I know it's not easy to be apart for weeks, but you're never anything but positive about it. I love how you humor me when I cook, and you always say the food is good, even though we both know, for damn sure, you could do it way better. I love how much you care about the environment, even if it means we have to have a trash shelf.
Trash shelf.
I love how you laugh with your whole being and smile with all your teeth. I love how important your Japanese heritage is to you, how it's woven into our lives, and how excited I see you get to eat Japanese stuff like mochi, yakisoba, umabushi, onigiri, kare, ochazuke, and ramen. Being with you has legitimately made me a better person and made me want to be a better person and soften my edges in the most beautiful ways. And I'm so thankful for that. So, for that. I don't know if you remember, maybe you do. Now I know that you do. The last time we went to Big Sur and we were walking through the redwoods and we came upon 2 sequoias that had grown right next to each other. So closely together that if you didn't really look, you'd have thought it was only one tree. And while we both remarked how cool it is, I didn't think much more of it until the other night. See, the other night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was in bed, and I reached over, and you weren't there. And I immediately woke up, sweating, and like almost having a panic attack. And I reached over, and I hit you in the face on accident. But you didn't wake up, because you never wake up. She can sleep through anything. She sleeps through everything. All because your conscience is clean. Anyway, I realized that, the feeling of relief when I touched you was indescribable. And I laid there awake, and I thought about like the fear, like what it was to just try and calm down. And I'm not afraid of death. I've never been afraid of death. I think about it the older we get, and I think about it now that we're together and I have more to lose, but I can't say I truly fear it. But what I do fear is life without you. And that's what I realized. And it's because we're like those 2 trees in Big Sur. Our roots grown together, our bark indistinguishable from one another, grown into the same tree. I love you more than I've ever loved anything. And I'm so glad to get to be your husband.
No. It was beautiful.
Wow, you 2 converging trees write some incredible vows. That was amazing. 50 years ago, the Beatles suggested that love is all we need. By that eloquent standard, having thus bonded yourselves together here today, you now both have all you need. And with that, by the power vested in me from the internet, it is now my genuine honor to pronounce you, Matthew and Melissa Embry, husband and wife. Matt, you may now kiss your bride.
We both wrote about the trees.
Wow.
Aww. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Oh, it was wonderful, man. Thank you so much, brother. I love you.
Oh, it was perfect.
Oh, you guys are amazing. You guys carried it. That was out of control. I never experienced anything like that.
All right, is that it? Are we done?
You're married, dude?
All right. Yay.
Now you're my son-in-law.
Yeah, you're my mother-in-law.
Good job, man. Thanks, man.
Really nice.
Send us something else, man.
Really nice. Yeah, great job, dude. That was sick. Oh, that was great. That was really great.
Oh man.
Maybe the best wedding I've ever seen. That's like the most maybe real thing.
Dude, those vows were out of control. Dude, I wasn't ready for that. That was incredible.
Great vows. Good job. Those are great
Thanks,
vows.
man. Wow, that was really cool.
What do you call that again?
San Kudo is the name of the ceremony.
San?
San Kudo. San means 3, and Ku means 9. So San Kudo is 3, 9 times.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's just
Yeah. That was something fun and unique.
so good. Oh, thank you. That was the best wedding I've ever seen. Oh, man. Thank you. So much.
I don't know you guys as well, but I want to hug this side of the family too.
Man, that was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony.
You really touched my mama with that.
Now I get to see you more. Great job.
You stick to your awesome family
I
here.
love the humor element in there.
Yeah, we keep it a little light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was a good job.
I worked on it so hard. I practiced it like, yeah. Put the effort over. The sake helps. He's incredible.
Oh, thank you so much for such a beautiful ceremony.
That was fun.
Beautiful.
That's good,
Everyone's
man.
hugging.
Yeah, that was good. I need to go find that website so I can get on there.
Universal Life Church, that's it. Yeah. It takes like 2 minutes. You pretty much just type in your email address.
That ceremony was, Hermie could not stop crying.
I saw her like when I pulled it out, I was like, I can't look over it.
Personal because of all the ancestors.
Yeah, that was cool.
Beautiful.
I'm glad that landed.
Yes.